All glory and honor goes to the man up above. And what a great game. What a great game. It's a really good football team on the other side that we played today. And, our guys fought their heart out all the way to the last second, and there's no quitting them. And they're building and they're developing in that room. And that's what I'm most proud of. They made a couple more plays than us, and that's the way the game of football goes. But I thought our guys played their hearts out, and we just came up short tonight.
Well, defense played great, almost great comeback at the end. Can you tell us about the uncharacteristic offensive problems that you had, particularly penalties and the picks?
Yeah, not sure what the number of penalties we had and when, and the picks. We'll go look at them and see if we could have helped Micah out in those situations whether it was the call, whether the rest of the guys were all doing the same thing, and just being efficient collectively as a unit to help him in those situations. And so at the end of the day, the penalties and the turnovers, they fall on me, and we have to get them corrected.
Coach, do you think some of Micah's struggles were roster injury or some combination?
I think when we go back and look at it, and I think as quarterbacks, I know I did it. The game, if it's more than physically, it's mental, and you just want to stay sharp. You want to stay in the zone, and that's kind of where you're the best. You got to find that zone. And so, for Micah, coming off of a big Stanford win, and then playing Arizona, at not 100%, and then sitting for 2 weeks, he's going to get back in the groove. He's going to find himself. He's going to find his rhythm, and we got to help him with that. Again, he does it against a really good opponent, and we can all help him, from the coaching to the guys around him, and getting him better. And so, collectively as a group, we got to be better.
Timmy, you got to like the resilience of that last drive, that effort, and the bouncing back. But was there ever any thought about maybe having him with you on the side for a series and have Luke in, like what has been done with you when you were playing and other quarterbacks?
Yeah, I kind of like these quarterbacks fighting through it, and we did it with Braden, and Micah just finding his rhythm, and sometimes, it's 11-man football, so it's not always on the quarterback. We gotta do a good job coaching wise, and the rest of us all just helping him out. But never thought about putting in Luke or anything. Micah's our guy, and he's gonna play better, and he wants to play better. He's a guy that's taking it really hard right now, and you want that in your leader and your quarterback.
Coach, the final drive, you guys picked up, I think, one fourth down, maybe more. Give yourselves a chance. What did you think of the execution in that circumstance, and then the look you got to go for two there? Yeah,
it's we put ourselves in a situation where we had to score 8 points down there, under 2 minutes and under, and so I thought the guys executed, and I thought Micah was at his best right there, making plays with his legs, O-line giving him enough time, receivers and running backs, doing their thing. I thought that was the best we looked going in that 2 minute drive, and coming down to the end, we just fell a play short from tying it.
Coach, could you speak to the run defense tonight? This is a team that came in averaging more than 200 yards on the ground over the past few games. You held them to just 70. Just speak to the run defense tonight.
Yeah, the defense, the front seven continues to be, even our safeties in the back, they continue to be just a pillar of dominance in there, right? And they're since Arizona, I thought they've just been playing lights out and stopping the run. which is really good. And we need them to continue doing that heading into an Air Force week. But defense continues to play well. I thought they did a really great job. The turnover for touchdown, continue to stop the run. And then forcing the quarterback to go and throw, and hats off to the quarterback. He made some good plays, and then there's they got a really good third down, or it was either third down or fourth down call that became an explosive. That it was a great call by them, and so, but the defense I thought played unbelievable, and we need them to continue to do that.
Coach, because you've missed Micah for so long, do you think it's a case of maybe everyone's maybe not quite in rhythm right now, and maybe you saw some of that on that last drive, that maybe it's going to take a little while for everyone to get on the same page?
No, it's not just. I mean, it's not just Micah. I mean, we're missing Jackson Harris. We're missing Senecal. Dean didn't get to play tonight. Dean's mother passed away and was in Oregon this whole week. There hasn't been a lot of continuity since Stanford. With our guys, and then losing Senecal in Arizona. So, we just the point of it is the next guy's got to step up. You know what I mean? And when we get our guys back and we're at full strength, I look forward to watching them go. But right now, we're piecing together. Ethan missed last game. Our center missed last game, and so. It's just part of football, right? It is, and the next guy's got to be ready to go. And but we're developing a lot of guys, and so that helps.
Kind of along those lines, and Pofele ends up with pretty good stats and a really great long catch, but it seems like he's having a hard time getting loose, especially long. Is it because of like Nick being out and some of this other trickle-down effect?
Yeah, I mean, when you have guys like Nick, you're missing that your 4 years, 4-year guy, that is, that's been good for you, man. And I mean, those things, they happen. And so, but we just got to be better. I really think we just got to be better on offense. Back to the drawing board, and these guys will get it right. I believe in my guys, and they're gonna work hard, and so. Figuring it out up front, and get the quarter. Micah's gonna be extreme. I mean, Micah's a perfectionist, and so when he puts his mind to something, he'll get better, and then our receivers will get healthy as it goes, and then we'll go play some ball. But defense continues to play well. Conce and our punter, Billy, continue to play well. Special teams does enough good things that keep us in the game. But we just we'll figure out that balance, and we've got a tough road game ahead of us right here in Air Force.
Jamih, can you tell us about that run defense? You guys came out sort of a new formation, the 3-man front and crashing the linebackers, and also about your touchdown.
I mean, all that, just goes to Thurman and all our defensive coaches. They harped on us all week, just being physical. I say these past 3 games, just the weeks of practice has just been, long and, physical, and we've just been going at it. And I think, we have a certain goal in mind, and ever since we've been chasing it. So, the defense is playing with a different mentality, and I think we just brought it here tonight, and, yeah.
Jamih, what was the mood in the locker room after, a hard-fought game like that, where, Fresno State came out on top?
For sure, in our plan, we want to take this one, but everybody's morale is fine. I think we still believe that, God is working. And, we don't just give thanks to God, when we win. We give thanks to God, even when we lose, because we know that He has a plan, and, this happened for a reason. Nothing is a coincidence. So, we're just still going to roll with the punches and keep rolling the dice.
Yeah, kind of in the lines of those that question, talk a little bit about maybe the silver linings of this game, right? Kind of maybe proving to yourselves that you guys can hang, with teams in this conference, especially with the rest of the schedule still ahead of you guys.
Honestly, just the mentality of the guys here. I mean, the coaches to the players, we all do a great job of just keeping the morale up. And I think the biggest thing is just understanding, the mindset. We've been prepping it, since the summer, off-season, MTA, and honestly just the mentality that we got to have, understanding that, whoever's on the field, that we're compatible with any team that comes to Hawaii or whether we go away. So that's just the mindset we have, and knowing, what strength we're leaning off of. And, we're a real faith-based team, so we feel that, keeping that firm rock on God's foundation. So that's what we believe in.
Hey, Jamih, you talked about morale. What were some of the conversations on the sideline after those turnovers in the fourth quarter? I mean, obviously it could have unraveled, but the offense still got down there and scored. So what were some of the conversations going on the sideline like?
I mean, honestly, all throughout the sideline, if you was to walk around or, have a mic, we were just saying, I believe. We believe in Jesus. And honestly, whether, that's if we had a stop or whether the offense scored and we got to get another stop, we believe. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's the morale that we have. The type of energy, the type of juice that this team has is insane. You know what I mean? And, just being down, we're still up like, we're winning. And I think that's the biggest thing. And, the state of Hawaii can expect a lot from us because, honestly, we give all glory to God. And, everything that we do, all that energy, it comes from him. I can't say 2-3 years ago I'd have this same attitude. So all praise to Jesus Christ.
Looking ahead, they say defense travels. And after the Arizona game, there was a lot of talk about it could have been maybe traveling better as a team, and what kind of improvements can be done as far as whatever it is, logistics, or just what you guys need to do to improve on the whole travel thing.
Right. A lot of stuff is said about that. Honestly, it starts internally, with the players. There's only so much the coaches could do. And, they harp on our X's and O's. And I think just going throughout the week, just understanding what we got to work on. And I think week in and week out, understanding what we did good, what we did bad, teams are going to attack that. But we're real hard on ourselves throughout the week. And we understand we have that accountability, tell somebody, hey, we need to do better than this, or, you got to do a better job of this. And we could take that because it's a brotherhood at the end of the day. So, honestly, we're just going to keep moving forward. The boat's still sailing, God's still working, so we're fine.
I know you guys pride yourself on defense. Did a great job stopping Fresno's rush game today. Now you take your show. Now that the show goes on the road against an Air Force team that loves to run the rock, how much are you guys looking forward to, meeting that challenge against a Falcon team that likes to run?
I'm excited. They're a great team. We're going to their house now, so the atmosphere is going to be great, and I think we're all excited. I mean, as a defense, we like to play downhill, physical football, and Air Force they play physical football too. So I think it'll be a really good matchup. And honestly, I can only speak for us, but I know we're going to hit the clipboard and go back to our X's and O's, understand we got to do better, and just go from there.
Jamih, can you take us through your fumble return in the second quarter? And I think you maybe had to drag a guy like the last 10 yards to get into the end zone on that one.
That was my first time getting in the end zone in a long time, since high school. So, I mean, when I had the ball in my hands, I had to score. And, it's crazy. Before that, I would pray to my teammates. I prayed to my brother Elijah in the hotel room, like, man, I got to get a turnover. And this was before even week one. And I think, this is kind of a testament to everybody out there. Sometimes we pray for things and it doesn't happen when we want it. But God's always on time. And, it was just a perfect play, a heads-up play. They got great running backs. I know what they like to do. And, I seen the running back flare, and I just took my shot, and the rest was God.
First of all, how'd you feel out there, especially on some of your throws? And did you also seem that they were targeting your legs a lot on some of the plays?
I felt great. We thought I was 100% going into the game. And, they obviously took some shots, but, it's football. Told the ref to look out for it. But, at the end of the day, I was good. I was good out there and felt great.
Micah, what was that game for you what was it like going through that game mentally? Throughout your high school and college career, you've taken care of the ball and stuff, and so, Fresno State had some plays on defense. What was that like just going through that?
It's tough, just going throughout the game and, defense playing their butts off the whole game, and, it's not being able to perform for the offense. It's, it's obviously tough mentally, but, it's a game of life in general. You got to keep going and keep pushing. Wake up tomorrow, you got to go watch the film and get ready for Air Force next week.
Can you go through the last drive a little bit, and also the touchdown and the conversion attempt?
Yeah, we had to leave it all on the field, and I think that's what you saw from the offense. Just continuous fight from the start of the game. We were having a hard time in the fringe and in the red zone and, on the plus side of the field. So, that last drive was just leaving it all out there, and luckily, we caught one in the end zone with the post to Blaze Kamoku. And, the 2-point, they played it really well, and we tried to make a play, but it didn't turn out well for us. But, it's a game of football. We fought to the end, and, you can't ask more from the guys, for sure.
Hey, Micah, what do you think of the way the defense performed tonight to, get you guys on the board basically? In the
Yeah,
first
I
half?
mean, you really can't ask much more from a defense and how they performed today. And, they played their butts off. They probably held that team to under their average rushing yards. And, that team is very potent with the rushing attack. So, the defense played their butts off. Like I said, you can't really ask much more from an offensive standpoint for the defense to do anymore. So, we just got to be better on the offense side of the ball and start complimenting them throughout the season. It's a long season ahead of us, so we're going to work back and get better.
Hey, Micah, I know you're not going to use an excuse, but there's a lot of guys on offense in and out. You're coming back, different center, left tackle, receivers in and out. How do you guys accelerate just getting that clicking again?
Yeah, it's just all about energy and just coming out strong, just coming out fast. It's about our intent towards every play and how we approach everything. So that's more so just getting it going in rhythm and getting the continuity going in practice, starting in practice, and getting it towards the game.
Yeah, Micah, along those lines, Coach Chang mentioned how, you're a perfectionist and, you want to get it right. So talk about what this week looks like for you guys before you guys hit Colorado.
It's a lot of hard criticism on self and, a lot of self-reflection and self-realization for sure. It's just, it's big to hold yourself accountable and, what you got to get better at. So, like I said, I'll wake up tomorrow, come in and watch a lot of film and be a hard critique on myself. And as soon as we're done watching the film, we got to move on towards Air Force. It's a long season. We got 7 more games left. So, it's a long season ahead of us. So, like I said, just come back, critique it, and get better and get ready for Air Force.